Happy to welcome you in our today's meeting with Kellen James. I'm excited to speak today about the challenges in DeFi, some problems in DeFi, maybe some areas for improvement. So I invited my friend and a guest, Kellen, today to speak more about his story, his experience working and building different tools in specifically DeFi space. So I'm curious to know more, Kellen, and to speak today, first of all, about your background. Can you tell us more about your current position and your past experience, please?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kellen James. As a front-end developer and recent winner of the Solana Hyperdrive Hackathon, I can say my experience in blockchain has been both pretty deep and hands-on. So my story in cryptocurrency began over 6 years ago, initially as a solo effort where I honed my skills as an investor and trader while making plenty of mistakes along the way. Um, this personal journey has led me to make over 30 token investments, giving me a pretty broad perspective on the crypto landscape while navigating high risk situations at times. So I can say, recently I've embraced my role as an investment analyst at 3X Capital. 3X Capital's significant contributions to the Web3 space have been pretty instrumental in my growth. And, just working alongside a team that consistently delivers high quality educational content and embraces an inclusive culture has enhanced my skills and insights as an investor.
Yeah, thank you, Kellen. That's a pleasure to hear from you. We started our journey with Kellen as a mentor and mentee, and quickly grew up to a friendship and partnership in terms of our program that right now we are launching. So, Kellen, can you tell us more about the program that you participated in? I think it was the cohort 6. Can you tell about your experience?
Yeah, so cohort 6 was titled Web3 Investment and Analytics. So it was really about understanding the entire Web3 venture capital process of how Web3 venture capitalists make investments in tokens and equity. From my perspective as a solo investor, it was pretty eye-opening to see how different the structure was in terms of how a Web3 VC approaches an investment compared to just a standard investor. So in that program, which was 12 weeks long, we learned everything from the bottom up, from due diligence to understanding communities, understanding tokenomics. It eventually ended in us completing a deal memo in which we did a full evaluation on an assigned startup and presented it to the investment committee. So overall, it was a great experience. That's where I kind of first met Ivan, him becoming my mentor, and just week to week, we learned more about each other and learned more about kind of what it takes to find successful projects in the Web3 space. And I also made a lot of cool friends who I'm now working with on the side outside of 3X Capital.
Yeah, thank you, Kellen. It was a pleasure to have you as a mentee. And during our journey, when we were learning together, we have started to build a new program called DeFi Innovation and Growth. And I remember that it was your idea, Kellen, to call the program Innovation and Growth specifically. So I enjoyed together with you crafting all the structure and all the program. And guys who will wait till the end, we will introduce the program to you just quite basically today. But we will focus more on the path of Kellen from investor to experienced DeFi user and, of course, hackathon winner. So can you please tell more about your specifically participation in the hackathon of Solana Hyperdrive, or
Yeah,
what was the
yeah,
name?
absolutely. Yeah, so I initially signed up for a Solana blockchain training program called WBA, which is Web3 Builders Alliance. I was introduced to the co-founder by Gloria, and it was really just a kind of casual conversation of, hey, we have this program. We're training developers how to to code on Solana. And at that point, I already had about 4 years experience as a front-end developer in Web2. So as an investor, I just felt that it would be a good opportunity to start to learn more about how dApps and security and different things work on Solana. So when I first joined, I really had no intention of participating in a hackathon. I really just thought it would be another good learning opportunity. But as we went through the program, we were assigned different team members, and my team member Prakath, we had a lot of chemistry, and we kind of started to like gain confidence week after week, and we eventually had a concept that started to really gain traction. It's called Albedo. So this project is a DePIN based project, which is focusing on taking physical infrastructure and integrating that with blockchain based solutions. So he's based in India. He's identified a couple of key issues with agriculture. So we kind of basically developed this concept of decentralized insurance for crops. So essentially, if crops are damaged through excessive weather conditions, we would have some type of mechanism that would disperse payments through the Solana blockchain. So I would say that going through WBA was it's kind of like almost like a mini MBA in a way, in that we learned a lot more than just development. We learned about product market fit, how to talk to investors, how to pitch, how to basically take something from a concept up to a startup. So I think it was really helpful that the hackathon happened right towards the end of our program. We had a lot of momentum. We had a lot of people speaking on our behalf at the Hyperdrive hackathon. We built a really strong community. So for me as an investor, it was like the complete experience of now seeing at the ground level what developers have to go through in terms of building a really scalable solution. So I'm still working with the WBA. We're still working on this project in a different capacity, but that's kind of a high level description of what my experience was like going through the hackathon.
Thank you. I think I lost you a bit in the end. Maybe the connection will be restored. I think the connection was lost from side.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Kellen, can
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing you. No, the audio is really is getting choppy. No.
I think that's the connection issue on my end, but we are live, so let's move forward. I think right now it's better. So guys, sorry for some technical issues. We are moving forward, and I'm excited to know more about your next steps after the hackathon. So you mentioned several times that you participated in the acceleration program. I'm curious to know more about the agenda, the value of the program that you have received after the hyperdrive.
Yeah, so with hyperdrive, we took third place in the DePIN track, which was an award of $15,000 USD. So as of right now, we've started to pivot on the project, and we're now taking an alternative approach as to how we're going to build this solution. So we've already started on this, but we essentially are now working with some microprocessors that we purchased for very cheap, and we're starting to build an SDK around this. And what that basically means is that it's a software development kit that can be used by other developers to also launch their own DePIN based applications. So I think one of the insights that we figured out while we were doing our hackathon project is that it was quite ambitious at the time to be able to build out this kind of solution. So we've now taken a step back, and we're figuring out a more like streamlined approach as to how we can actually build this. So I think what's cool about it is that we still have a lot of support from the Solana community. There was a post accelerator post-acceleration program that happened after WBA, which was put on by some of the leaders at Solana. We had speakers from the industry leaders from the Solana ecosystem come and speak to us about a variety of different topics, from launching a hackathon project to a startup, understanding product mechanisms, understanding marketing. So we're now just kind of taking all this information and experience and now compiling it into the SDK project. So we actually are planning to participate in the next upcoming hackathon with this project, which I believe is in like 2 months from now. So yeah, we figured out a way to keep the traction going, because it is easy after hackathons to kind of just like get a little bit too excited and then you don't really know where to go next. So I think we've done a pretty good job of continuing with the traction.
Definitely. I love your journey and the hackathon experience. I think it was quite insightful, actually, a view from a different point, from a founder, from an engineer. So looking forward to hear more about it and your growth soon from the hackathon. We actually have one startup that will also participate in March. So we'll see you there.
I can tell you that my first experience, or my first exposure to coding but on a blockchain, it was much more complicated than I thought, and I have a lot more respect now for blockchain developers who are building some of these incredibly innovative like DeFi solutions. It really is pretty complex. So I am glad that I got to get that experience as well.
Sure. And coming back to DeFi, I think having your 6 years of experience working with different protocols, and I can imagine with centralized exchanges as well, you can share some insights and maybe challenges that you have faced during the past 6 years. So you can start from the beginning of your journey, and maybe we can see the history, how DeFi matured the past 6 years. It's incredible.
Yeah. So when I first started, I think it was only maybe a year after you, in 2017. I think you started in 2016. So as a US citizen, I really just had access to Coinbase. In 2017, I think there were 5 cryptocurrencies that you could essentially buy or trade. It was Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, and I think Monero. So initially, I had no idea what I was doing. I was really just starting to hear about it a lot in the developer community. I started making very small buys and really just staying on a centralized exchange. At that time, DeFi was not even a thing yet. It was just centralized exchanges. So as the years went on, I started to advance to self-custody. I started getting more familiar with having a ledger, having my own hardware wallets to basically move assets back and forth between centralized exchanges and hardware wallets. So that was the next step. And then after that, I started hearing about DeFi really in 2020, but it wasn't up until last year and that I really truly saw the value in DeFi. And this is because I had way too much crypto on exchanges that went basically illiquid. So I think everyone remembers last year what happened with FTX, BlockFi, Celsius, and multiple other exchanges. I became very undisciplined during the last bull market, like where I was just getting way too comfortable with keeping crypto on exchanges and not having it diversified between different hardware wallets. So what happened for me was when BlockFi came out and said they didn't have customer deposits and there was essentially a digital bank run, I was I was able to get a majority of my assets off the platform, but I had also a lot still stuck on there. So once I took my assets off, my trust was completely eroded from centralized exchanges. And I said from that point that I need to figure out a better way of how to still be involved with, crypto and trading without having to rely on centralized exchanges. So that was for me the turning point of which I went from just being focused on centralized exchanges to now being comfortable with like working with Uniswap, Compound, some of the more mature DeFi protocols. So that was kind of the evolution for me. I never thought, like most people, that my crypto on an exchange could ever be inaccessible, or they could tell me that I can't access it. So even though I had heard about DeFi before that, it wasn't until I had to face that kind of pain to understand how important DeFi really is in the broader ecosystem of Web3.
Definitely, and I think you touched a very important topic from the point of view of diversification. When you hold the huge amount of your assets in one centralized exchange, it's highly risky. So we encourage everyone and suggest to diversify between exchanges, wallets, hardware wallets. So do your best to think about this now, and future you will not any issues your one interest that more to what you mentioned, but different. So it is to a stable coin. I used to have three stable coins: USDT, USD, and USD. Maybe you remember it, the algorithmic stable coin from one of Terra, around 20% of
Hey, Ivan, sorry, the stream is getting pretty bad again. I'm gonna wait until it clears up. Ivan, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm back. Yeah, so sometimes the connection issues happens. No worries. We are moving forward. So I was explaining the case when I have lost almost all my investment in USD due to the crash that has happened with Luna and this organization overall. So I was using centralized exchange, CoinList, and I wasn't able to withdraw funds. So they opened withdrawal only in 8 hours, and the was already depegged. So it was traded at 50 or 55 cents when I was able finally to take money from the platform. And after this, in 2022, I decided that I will never use centralized exchanges, never hold there. I can just buy an asset and transfer it to my MetaMask wallet, to my hardware wallets. I'm also using Ledger, but also used several other wallets in the past. So that's crucial. So my suggestion here will be to think about diversification on at least 3 levels. The first one, it's wallets or exchanges where you hold your crypto, or you stake it, or you use them for other purposes. Second, stable coins. So to have at least 3, 4, 5 stable coins. If I was holding all my assets in USD, it will lead to very, very bad consequences for me. And the last one, of course, diversification in altcoins. So you should think about the sectors and categories where you are interested to deploy your capital and diversify between them. So basic suggestion from me and Kellen is to think about it and to do your best to be ready for the next things that will come in the future with centralized exchanges, or maybe with some wallets. Who knows? That's why you should use several providers in order to make sure that you will not lose everything, because it can impact significantly your assets under management and your future growth. So thank you for this, Kellen. I think that was really valuable. Would you like to comment something? Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say I totally agree, and I think pretty much from my perspective, almost everything that I've said can never happen as an investor in DeFi and crypto has happened at this point. So there's like no future event at this point that I can honestly say like, oh yeah, that will never happen. Like even last year when when USDC depegged, which was like in my opinion one of the most stable coins. So yeah, the diversification is extremely important.
Sure. I think we have covered a very important topic. I'm also curious to know how do you like structure your security and your tracking of the assets right now? So maybe what tools do you use additionally to track your portfolio and to make sure that everything is secure?
Yeah, so for tracking, it's nothing too advanced for me right now. I primarily just use like CoinMarketCap for tracking assets and price movements, but I do have multiple wallets, and one of my favorite wallets that I use is Brave. So the Brave browser has an integrated wallet, which is built into the browser, and to me, it's kind of a game changer because it's not an extension. Even though like MetaMask is a great DeFi wallet, people still do get scammed often because you have to download an extension to execute it. So having the Brave browser is really nice. I also use a Ledger hardware wallet and just generally like other just DeFi analytical tools. But I'm kind of like refining my strategy definitely for 2024 because I've had a lot of time to kind of like reflect on some of the painful lessons from last year. So those are just some of like my high level tools that I'm using right now.
Sure. Great. So thanks. I will check the Brave wallet. I'm curious to know. I'm using the browser, but I have never seen the wallet there. I heard about it, but never tried. So that's a great suggestion to us to try new things, maybe more secure, more user friendly. So I'm also interested to know what categories of DeFi excite you the most. What protocols are you using? So maybe you can also tell about that.
Yeah. So like the categories that I'm really excited about is definitely RWA, which stands for real world assets. So that's essentially the tokenization of real world assets. That could be anything from real estate to luxury watches. And the reason why I'm pretty bullish on this category is just because I think for the average user, a lot of crypto investments, DeFi is very abstract, in which they can't really think about it in just simple terms. But I think the closer that we get to bringing in real assets from the real world, there should be like much more increased user adoption. So I'm really bullish on RWA. I'm obviously still a big DEX fan of just decentralized trading exchanges like Uniswap. I'm still using Compound for lending and borrowing. So, but I think the one category this year that I really need to start getting more involved with is definitely LSDs, so liquid staking derivatives. So for a long time, I was just a traditional yield farmer staker, just kind of letting my tokens sit on a smart contract without being able to, take it out until the quote unquote expiration date of when the staking rewards would be over. So now being able to stake tokens and then essentially get a derivative to go use for other activities is something that I feel is going to really accelerate the yield that I'm going to be getting on my investments. So I would say top three, RWA, lending and borrowing, and liquid staking derivatives.
Yeah, thanks, Kellen. Actually, guys, recently we discovered that there are 23 DeFi categories available right now, and it's really hard to understand everything and start building your portfolio there because there are so many opportunities, so many scams at the same time that thoroughly you need to analyze and make your own investment decisions. Regarding LSD, for everyone who do not know, it's a liquid staking derivatives. So simply speaking, you are staking your Ethereum or another cryptocurrency, and you are receiving a tradable asset as a derivative that you can use in other protocols. For instance, you can lend it and borrow another asset, use it as a collateral. So there are so many opportunities that you can leverage in order to boost your portfolio instead of just holding it on centralized exchange or in the hardware wallet. As far as I know, 98% of the market does. So they are short-term traders or just crypto holders who do not leverage DeFi. And from my point of view, it's quite interesting journey to discover all these things when they are early. Some of them are not too early. So you mentioned real world assets just in 2 years achieved a capitalization of more than $5 billion. And the largest category, liquid staking derivatives, has a capitalization more than $30 billion. Of course, Lido is a leading platform that has the majority of the pie in this liquid staking derivatives space. So I'm personally very excited and can speak about all these things, tools, protocols for an hours. And sometimes we have meetings with Kellen. We are just discussing projects and opportunities that are available in the space.
I think, yeah, I think that the TVL all-time high during the last bull run was like what 260 or 270 billion. But I think with the surge of all these different categories, like I think TVL for DeFi it'll probably be like, in my opinion, 600 to 700 billion, probably during the peak of the next bull cycle. So just massive growth opportunities within DeFi.
Sure. We'll see. It's hard for me to project, but we can think about 5-10x from the current TVL. Also, Kellen, I'm curious to know what blockchains are you bullish right now, and what ecosystems, maybe some of them that you have selected to invest in your personal portfolio.
Yeah, I would definitely say Solana for obvious reasons, but also Sui. So those are two ecosystems in which I'm very bullish on. In the previous bull market, and I was really heavily focused on Ethereum, but also now with Ethereum, I'm looking more at the L2 scaling solutions. But I would say primarily my investment focus has shifted towards Solana and Sui.
That's funny because just today I have closed my position in Sui with more 100% returns on it. I closed the position, if to be like frank with you, like 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
Sui surged significantly during the past few days, despite the market like small downtrend. Sui performed quite well. So I think this movement didn't happen before because of several clear reasons for me. But right now, the part of the liquidity from the coins that are already pumped moved to Sui and showed an aggressive growth during week. But I'm personally using a lot of protocols in both ecosystems that you mentioned. On Solana, I'm bullish about Parkle, Margin Finance. Also on Sui, I'm using Scallop, Aftermath, and one more, and Navi. Maybe you heard about Navi. So I love the seamless experience of transactions that all these tools are offering, and both protocols are offering like very instant transactions. So you do not spend like 10 minutes waiting when your deposit will be ready to deploy. Everything happens in seconds, and I like this experience with
Yeah.
also low fees, some huge boosts. For instance, Scallop has received a portion from Sui Foundation and Mission Labs recently, and they're boosting the rewards with additional 20% in Sui tokens on top of your lending. So that's quite huge, and me and my team, of course, are leveraging all these things that are happening, just boosting our yield on Sui. Despite me selling, we are still holding a lot of Sui in our own portfolio.
Yeah, I would also add that one other insight that kind of backs the bullishness with Solana and Sui is the developer activity. There's a lot of developers who are starting to build on these ecosystems, and I think they're doing a really good job of kind of attracting more developers to these ecosystems. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what type of blockchain applications are starting to come out later this year on those two platforms.
Definitely, yeah. I'm looking forward to see more. Kellen, would you like to share some other challenges that we have not covered today that you faced during your DeFi investment experience?
Sure. Yeah, I can talk about really smart contracts, more specifically smart contract audits. So in my experience as an investor, investing in new DeFi projects, like I thought it was very difficult to kind of get transparent information about the entire project from the team to different things that will help make informed decisions. But what I kind of realized is that contract audits actually don't really like prevent or can save you in terms of as an investor. A lot of scammers are actually using smart contract audits in like creative ways to make it seem like the project is secure. I just think generally speaking, the smart contract auditing firms have to do like a better job of essentially screening these projects, because projects can essentially submit any code that they want and have an auditing firm give them a green light. But essentially, I saw many cases in which rug pulls still happen and just kind of really strange things. So I think for me as an investor, that was one of the really big challenges. Is like, even though I had invested in projects that had smart contract audits, even from like respectable firms like Certic and other firms, like there was still always that element of this can still eventually be a scam or a hack or a project that gets hacked eventually. So that to me was a really big challenge, and also just trying to get information about that, because I was in a lot of like Telegram communities with these projects, and for the most part, the conversations within those communities are not really helpful most of the time. And like you may get some high level information, but it required a lot of due diligence and really deep research to uncover like what was going on with some of these projects. So I definitely would say like that's a key issue still in DeFi at this point.
Sure. And do you have any tools that you are using to audit the smart contracts? Maybe some AI tools that you have tried?
I actually haven't tried any yet, but I know that they're starting to they're starting to become more normal to now process like these smart contract audits through plugins and things like that. I think there has to still be a layer of additional due diligence on top of the smart contract audits, and that really starts with the team, their history, and how publicly transparent they are with the information they're willing to share. Because I saw a lot of really common patterns after a while with teams that are basically fake projects or scams that it's now obvious to me, but while I was going through it was not for a reason. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna start looking more into like AI tools, different things I can leverage to try and make the most like informed decisions going forward.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And have you experienced any impermanent losses or anything that is considered to some specific DeFi complicated problems that the majority of centralized exchanges investors do not understand?
Yeah, so I would say not directly as a liquidity provider, but basically being in projects that I've been in multiple projects in which the liquidity was pulled and then the project was restarted. So during that time, like that to me is pretty much the equivalent of impermanent loss. It's now becoming very common for some projects to basically use this as an excuse for an additional round of fundraising is when they reach a certain point that they either burn through all the money from the first like pre-sale or they want to restart the project and rebrand it. They'll essentially pull the liquidity from the pool and then restart the process all over again. So that happened to me, which put me in a really difficult position. So my advice there is like definitely wait until a project is fully launched and validated and not like be so quick to jump into pre-sales because liquidity getting pulled now is now becoming like much more common in the DeFi space.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I have never experienced like this type of situations, but personally I heard about several issues. Maybe can you highlight one real case that has happened with you connected to this pooling and scamming?
Sure. Yeah. So this one, I would say not so much along the lines of scam, but definitely liquidity pooling. I think I was telling you about the real world asset project, Watchvester, that I was telling you about, which is tokenizing luxury watches. So they essentially decided to do a second pre-sale and rebrand the project from Chronolite to Watchvester. So during that process, they told us ahead of time that this was going to happen, that they were going to essentially pull the liquidity, keep the funds in a stable coin, and then relaunch the liquidity. But what they didn't tell us was how long that process would be from the initial date of when they would pull the liquidity and eventually, redeploy the smart contract. So as an investor, we all thought that it was going to just maybe at most be a few months for them to kind of get their act together and figure out what they're doing. But it ended up being almost a year of us sitting around with not being able to access the native token. So that's like a project right now that I still have like significant capital in that I'm waiting for the redeployment of the liquidity so I can start trading again. But that's like a very real example of how even though like they initially had good intentions, they ran the project very poorly, and they basically had to come up with some way to raise more money because they're essentially purchasing real watches, like real luxury watches, which is much different than other protocols that just rely on things like earning fees from lending, borrowing, or just trading fees. So it's a much more complicated business model. But that's like a real example of how like they as a team decided like we're going to pull the liquidity and restart the project, and then in terms of timeline, it's up to their discretion as to like when they want to relaunch the project, which is going to happen soon. So that's definitely something that was very unexpected for me as an investor in that project.
Sure. I hope everything will be good, and you will be able to reinvest in liquid staking derivatives or some other new cool categories.
Oh, yeah.
Your money. And from your story, I just wanted to remind our audience that your risk management strategy is your priority. So you can invest in 50 protocols. You can make like 40 bad bets, but 10 good bets will provide you 2x or 5x returns on your invested capital. So my rule is not to invest more than 3% of my capital and less than 1%. So that's my personal just small rule, because in this way I definitely will have mathematically better position than the investor who invested in 2 or 5 deals, for instance. So maybe we can talk more about risk management and some exit strategies. Kellen, I think we have an incredible today, so I even don't want to present the program. Only if people are interested, I can do it. So give us some reactions in the chat if you're interested to know more about the program that we are doing. Because I have one more interesting question to Kellen. So what do you consider personally a successful DeFi investment in terms of the returns? So based on your own criteria, your point of view.
Yeah, so my point of view at this point, which is definitely more mature now than what it was a year ago or even a couple of years before that, is 3 to 5x returns on any DeFi investment should be considered pretty strong. But not only that, is also just being able to confidently and securely invest in a protocol without having any type of issues in terms of impermanent loss, hacks or anything like that. Just something that you can continue using on a regular basis and have more confidence in it as you continue to use it. A protocol that is growing, that's adding more users, that's adding more features. So I would say numbers wise, it's different from investor to investor, but I definitely think a starting point 3 to 5x would be a good starting point, and then adding additional yield on top of that with things like staking, liquid staking derivatives, essentially how we talked about, really just accumulating a lot of small wins, not trying to hit a home run and get a 15, 20, 30, 40x, but really just betting on the fact that you can manage the risk in a much more responsible way and just kind of build on top of smaller accumulated wins.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, I love this summary and insight. I personally use this strategy and always excited to share some cool results. For instance, just a week ago, we had a very successful listing of one of the projects that we invested in early, called Xi. It's a layer 3 blockchain from Arbitrum. Actually, the first blockchain that was launched in partnership with Arbitrum. And it is blockchain for gaming. It has very unique economic model connected to their tokens. So actually they have 2 tokens, one that is publicly traded and second that is mined by validators. So me and my team were participating in the node sale in the beginning of December. And we bought nodes with quite, I can say, not quite cheap price of around $600 per node. So we bought many of them. And the price during the node sale, they were actually selling keys for the nodes, was going up with every few thousand nodes that people were buying. So right now the price of the nodes is around 6 times higher than we bought. And the node during 1 month mined around $15,000. So it's also more than we have invested. Additionally, the project airdropped us tokens that are worth 2 times of our investment in the keys. So we did a successful exit with 2x in 1 month, and we are still holding and mining the nodes using a cloud computer for that, paying very small fees for supporting them. So there are different unique niche opportunities in the space that we can leverage. And I remember we had a meeting with you, Kellen, and I was mentioning that we are investing there. We just launched everything, all these nodes. So definitely there are some cool new categories that are worth our time and our research. But always I see one problem. There is not enough time for you to understand all these opportunities, all these categories alone. So you need to spend more time researching, but usually we do not have time to do that. So it's cool when you have a team. In our case, we have 4 investment analysts who are working full time. So they're creating different reports, providing different insights to us and instructions how to work with those protocols. And we have a great community that we have built, who are providing a lot of value in form of the questions and also insights. So I think community and your team is crucial to have some successful results and be able to securely invest. At the same time, diversify your portfolio. Instead of using 2 or 3 protocols, you can leverage many benefits, including airdrops as well, that can be very significant for early stage participants. Kellen, have you ever experienced airdrop before? Maybe you can share some examples.
Yeah, so primarily just one example, actually the one that we did alongside together was Venom, the Venom ecosystem. That was kind of my first experience of going through a whole series of different tasks or quests to, from minting NFTs to making transfers on bridges. And that's actually another thing that I feel is a really huge area of opportunity, is that these airdrops like actually really add up like significantly in value, just from really completing a series of tasks. And not only that, it gives you much more familiar with the blockchain itself and its ecosystem and how how it plans to operate and scale. So I definitely have a list of projects in which I know I need to be better about participating with the airdrops, but I would say the Venom ecosystem was probably the one that comes to mind when I think about airdropping activities, which was fairly recent.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Definitely, we see a huge change of the trends. So right now, the projects trying to create different programs, quests for participants to interact with, to participate, and after this, reward them for being early adopters and supporting them. And in our team, we usually divide these types of airdrops into 3 areas. So the first one is testing, similar to what Kellen just mentioned. So you bridge a testing asset to the network like Venom, and you use it in different products that Venom have built. You also do some social activities. You claim different NFTs, some rewards. So we call it testing. The second one is retro drop. So you are working on the mainnet of the network and you pay fees there. The largest retro drop that we have participated in was Arbitrum. Arbitrum in March previous year distributed $1.9 billion to people who were using their exchange on the mainnet, so paying real fees. At the same time, supporting them, testing them. And the last category, I can say DeFi. So I'm mostly interested in protocols where I can put my liquidity, but the protocol is tokenless as of now. So they do not have a tradable asset, but providing your liquidity in the early stage, you are earning points or different rewards. So in the future, when this protocol will launch the token, they will reward you. So usually they write about it, so you can find this information in their documentation, so usually on the website, or you can ask administrators in the Discord. So I'm quite active on Discord, and before I invest, I ask administrators about different questions, risks. So also one of the most valuable insights of the year was to leverage Discord in order to find information from the projects and receive some good answers. Projects are very, very active in Discord, so they're providing immediate answers. Comparing to LinkedIn, it's absolutely different.
Yeah.
I see that we do not have a lot of time for the presentation. I'm keen to answer the questions from the community. Let's start from Celicia James. What are you guys most excited about for the future of DeFi despite the challenges you have faced? Kellen, would you like to answer?
Yeah, so I would definitely say the ability to have your assets doing so many different things for you almost in an automated fashion. The way that I like to think about it is everyone is very, always talking about like passive income strategies in general. I think DeFi actually has some of the best like financial opportunities in terms of how you can grow your money in so many different diverse areas. And even though DeFi is still like fairly young, we're already seeing an explosion of growth in these different categories. Like these things are not even possible in traditional finance. So what I'm excited about is just the constant innovation of giving DeFi users more and more ways to, to earn, to lend, to borrow, to stake, to essentially just to keep growing your money in various different ways. So I'm just really excited about the innovation and how it's, we're really like transforming finance as we speak with DeFi.
You, Kellen. Definitely agree with you, and I love to test all these DeFi protocols on my own. Also, from my point of view, it's very interesting to join the blockchains when they are quite early. So to see how they are growing from one wallet, from one protocol for swapping your assets, actually trading, to a huge ecosystem where they can do trading, bridging, lending, borrowing, staking, restaking, and all these things that they have created for the community to boost their yield. So that's great. Thank you for your question, Cecilia. I'm sorry. Um, we have one more question to Kellen from Stefan Oresco. In every cycle, there is a narrative of meme coins. The best way to earn from them is to be early. Do you have a standard process, or what is your thought process how to verify projects? Can you advise traders, investors to do this? Interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I personally am not a huge meme coin trader, but what I will say is that something that I've learned from Ivan and 3x Capital in general is really starting to understand the fundamental business model of any project. So instead of trying to like time the market or predict what is going to be a big narrative, is that I think investors and traders really have to start looking at these projects from a very business perspective. Like how does this project actually generate revenue? How can it be sustainable in the long term? Why does it matter? So I think really starting to ask like more fundamental questions about the project, because I was the same way for a while. I used to think like, how can I make money off this, in a short to medium or long term? But really now I'm starting to focus on protocols that I actually think are gonna be around for a long time. 3, 5, 10 years from now. So I really think trying to approach investments as Web3 and crypto is starting to mature now, you're starting to see a lot more use cases where enterprises, corporations, and different entities are starting to come in. So I would really suggest like starting to look at projects from a business, fundamentally business perspective.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So it's really a full-time role to pick up those meme coins, and to exit them at the right time. I do not think it will provide you a lot of pleasure and insights to do that. So I suggest to focus on fundamentals, as Kellen mentioned. Select the ecosystems like layer 1, layer 2, maybe layer 3 blockchains that you would like to participate, and diversify your portfolio between 5, 7, maybe even 10 ecosystems there. So that's how you will learn, grow, and benefit at the same time, diversify and secure your assets, because you will use multiple wallets and multiple platforms for that.
If I could say one thing about meme coins, where you can learn the most is actually just studying their communities. If you go hang out in Telegram communities of certain meme coin projects, you can learn more about investor psychology and why these projects do well in the first place. And it typically has nothing to do with the utility because there usually is none. But you can still learn a lot from how these investors think in these communities and how that actually influences the price of these types of projects.
Yeah, that's a great point, guys. So me, Kellen, and 3x team, we do not suggest you to invest in meme coins, but do your own research and make your own decisions. We are not advisors. We are just the same users, investors as you are. So thank you for a cool session today, Kellen. I enjoyed it a lot, and we went more than even planned regarding our agenda. I can briefly introduce our program that we have built. I'm extremely proud to share it. Let me share my screen. We can stay here. Just a second. I want to properly start it, so maybe it will work like this. Perfect. So everyone see my screen. As we mentioned, we have built a great program called DeFi Innovation and Growth, and our offer is to help crypto holders to evolve from a passive investors to a savvy DeFi investor who will use multiple strategies to build a secure and, of course, thesis-driven portfolio. And we expect to have at least 3x returns in the next 2 years. Kellen mentioned that it's quite conservative during our conversation, but I can say it's realistic returns that I will be very happy with if I can achieve in 2 years 3x. We have built a program that will be 8 weeks long. It will start with some basic theoretical topics where we will discuss the investment categories. As I mentioned, there are 23 DeFi categories, and we will focus on 8 specific categories. We will have a topic that is connected to blockchains ecosystems, and I will speak about it on the next slide. So we will learn the main metrics, tools, and evaluation methods to build a diversified portfolio across various blockchain ecosystems. Instead of focusing on Ethereum or on Solana or on other 2 or 1 ecosystems, you can build portfolio at the same time that will provide you more security using various ecosystems. Also, we'll have the week 3 regarding the market landscape and some main opportunities and risks in DeFi. We will have week 4 about the analytical tools and evaluating DeFi opportunities. We will also have the week 5 regarding financial planning. So we will start with a questionnaire and we will build a financial plan. After this, we can start to deploy and build our DeFi portfolio. So on week 5, we will construct it, test it, and optimize. So this will allow you to activate your crypto holdings and generate additional yield on top of just holding Ethereum or other assets. Also, we will have an advanced topics that are connected to testing and automation. Today, we briefly touched this topic, but right now our team is working on 60 blockchains that we are testing at the same time. So there are so many opportunities in the early stages, similar to what Ethereum, Bitcoin experienced many years ago, where you can participate and you can receive additional rewards in the future. And we will close the program with the DeFi project pitch. So all participants will be able to present their investment strategies and receive a feedback from our research team. So briefly discuss the program. We will have 3 mentors during the program that will guide you. It's me and Kellen. We have built this program together also with Petro, who is our senior investment analyst, and he has a lot of experience with automation, with different testing activities. So he will help with this section. Also, we will have guest speakers. Here you can see that already few people have confirmed the participation, and on 23rd of the January, Andriy, a chief operating officer from 1inch, will open the guest speakers lectures. Also, we have CEO of Godbit, Alex, who will speak about market making and some other activities. We'll have Bruno from ICP Hub Indonesia. Also, we will have Dmitro, CEO from Haken, and we will have a representative from Scroll, Shahryar, and also we will have Manta Network and some other guest speakers who will participate. Also, we will have a security expert from Haken that will deliver a topic on the security and different tools that you can leverage. Speaking about our past results, we have organized 7 programs. The 7th was just closed on the previous week, so it will be our 8th program. We have 152 alumnus. We have 17 individuals who got employment after the program or during the program in Web3 space. We have many successful cases, different types of cases. Here you can see Slava, a participant of the first cohort that joined our team right after the program, and right now he's working as an investment analyst. At the same time, he's a student in the university. So during the past 2 years, Slava participated in many DeFi opportunities, analyzed them, and keep investing and building his portfolio right now. Also, we have a successful case from Petro Yanytskyi, who also was a participant of the first cohort, and after it, he joined 3x full-time, and right now he's managing our investment club and building different automated strategies. We have a case of Jefferson, who was a participant of the 4th or 5th cohort and has grown significantly as a senior investment analyst in Proximity Ventures that is focused specifically on Web3 startups. And also you have heard about Kellen. So his achievement with Solana Hyperdrive Hackathon is incredible. And I think that together during the past 6 months, we have grown together in terms of our portfolios and our expertise. So all these successful cases brings more understanding to us that we have different types of results. Some of them received changes in career. Some of them boosted their portfolio. We have few successful cases from people who launched startups. And of course, I can say that building friendship is something that is really valuable. And right now, for me, it's a great pleasure to see that Kellen has some friends who are supporting each other, doing introductions, providing feedbacks, and just being connected. It's really great. So we will start on 22nd of January. The duration of the program will be 8 weeks. And we will have the next formats. So during the 8 weeks, we will have 1 hour online expert lecture on Monday. On Tuesdays, we will have 1 hour online guest lecture. So actually every Tuesday and Monday, we will have these 2 lectures. On Wednesdays, we will have market research meetings. So our participants of 8th cohort and all previous cohorts can join together, have the market insights and discuss different topics. And on Thursdays, there will be a peer-to-peer sessions where we will join together in different metaverse spaces in our avatars, and we will be able to also discuss market challenges and different topics that were presented on Mondays and Tuesdays. Also, we will have mentorships on Fridays and AI tutor that we have built recently, available on Telegram, that will help you 24/7, I'm sure. We are offering several packages. So we have a basic package that is a self-paced path. So you will be able to have access to all recordings, to all course materials, all practical tasks, but you will not be working with us during the live lectures. You will not have access also to peer-to-peer sessions and weekly market research meetings. And also for a standard package, we will provide NFT certification. So you will be able to showcase your graduation from the program. Also, you will not have an AI tutor that is included in the standard, and you will not have access to the community. So standard is everything that you have in basic plus the benefits that I have mentioned recently. And we have a premium package that includes everything from the standard and basic plus individual mentorship sessions with me, Kellen, or Petro. So you can select your mentor based on your preferences. So that's it, a brief introduction of the program. I'm really excited to move forward with it and to see how together we will grow. Because as I love to say during the program, I'm the best student, because all these preparations of the presentations, doing research, structuring the information allows me to also learn and progress faster. So I'm very grateful for our students, our participants, to selecting us and providing this opportunity. Thanks, everyone, and thank you, Kellen, for joining. I think we had a great session today, and I'm looking forward to our next sessions. Wish you a wonderful day.
Thanks, Ivan. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.